You touched on it before, but is there one thing that you've learnt from the whole process of leaving your well-paid job to pursuing this, your passion as an entrepreneurial kind of career? Is there one thing you've learnt that you could pass on to anybody wanting to do the same thing?
It's more a basket. There isn't a one thing.
Mm.
I mean, I mentioned cash flow. You've got to remember the VAT man. You've got to keep control of your figures and your sales, all of that. You've got to get a good accountant, particularly if you, like me, you haven't got your feet on the ground. Somebody's got to nail you down every now and then and get that right. So it's a mix of things, really. Huge learning curve. I don't know whether you've seen me on YouTube or on my own website.
I was going to ask you about this. Yeah.
That is in response. I worked for Peter Jones. He has two academies, one in Amersham, one in Manchester, to get a diploma in entrepreneurship. Now, again, in a way, this is teaching youngsters about business, but it sounds better, entrepreneurship. And quite often, when I've given talks working with the Pearson Group and Peter's Group to youngsters, the thing keeps coming up: what makes an entrepreneur? What's the key thing? So I guess this is it for me. The key thing for me is this huge passion that you have burning inside you to make something happen, because you will get the doom merchants, you will get the naysayers, you will get the pessimists saying you can't do that, it's not going to happen, it hasn't been thought of before, so it's not going to work. And this passion, this fire, has to get rid of all of that. So I used to do talks on pyrotechnics years ago, and I thought, I know how to illustrate this. When you have a fire needs oxygen. Chuck a bucket of water over it, it's dead. If the fire's got its oxygen inside it, so using if you've got this passion inside you, you can burn through anything. You can burn through buckets of water, anything. So on the YouTube thing, I lit my unstoppable fuse. It goes through water, it goes through sand, it goes through gravel, it'll go through honey, it'll go through anything. And it explodes in the marketplace with your idea. And I thought that was the best way to get this over to kids, in a fun way as well. So I think that probably is it. You know, it is this: take your passion with you, and disregard and stamp over the people that are, the naysayers. And I mentioned to you a bit earlier about personality. I don't know if you've heard of Myers-Briggs. Have you at all? Myers-Briggs, it's a huge research company, and you're talking millions of people around the world on personality. And put it in brief, there are 16 personality cells, if you like, and each has a polar opposite. So for instance, extrovert, introvert, polar opposites. Now I've done Myers-Briggs now, which are you can take 2 to 3 hours to do the fundamental one, but again there's a 20-minute one on the internet which will give you some clues. I've done this for 3 decades, and every time I've done it, I've ended up ENTP, extrovert, intuitive, thinking, perceptive. And the one-word descriptor of ENTP is entrepreneur. So I thought, I wonder if that's a fundamental truth. And I'm working with the Myers-Briggs company. We're going to do a lot of fundamental research on people who've been on Dragon's Den and other entrepreneurs. I mean, for instance, the Virgin guy is ENTP. A number of people are ENTP. There's also ENTJ. P is perceptive, J is judgmental. The P's tend to be like me. They jump on a horse and they go in 4 directions at once. And they love new things.
Yeah.
The J's are more, if you like, straightforward people. They tend to be incredibly good managers. So somebody who comes up with ENTJ can start a business and manage it well. They're focused.
So is there one smell then that you have just yet to capture, but that you would love to find? I mean, irrespective of your historical stuff.
My next two, again, cash flow willing, the 2 things I'm working on at the moment are the fragrance of the ancient Olympics, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
I don't want to do the proper Olympics because I don't want the legal guys on top of me.
Right.
But the ancient Olympics, men were naked when they did their athletic things. Women were not allowed. And the men, being like us, Greeks if you like, white-skinned, they protected themselves. They were naked in the sun. In Greece, they protected themselves with olive oil, and it tended to be fragranced. Now, the key fragrance, as far as I'm concerned, was the fragrance of Aphrodite, goddess of love, because after you became top dog and champions, where were the women? You know, and to get the fragrance of Aphrodite, you've got to go to the island of Cyprus, where I've found a 4,000-year-old perfumery destroyed by earthquake, and there's been an archaeological dig there for the past 10 years, and I've been looking at and checking what they've found in their mixing pits to put together and recreate the fragrance of Aphrodite.
So that's next on the
list. That's next on the list,
Wow.
followed by the coronation oil, as I say. I've got that formula, believe it or not, is 3,500 years old. It goes back to the time of Saul and David.
Right.
So it's the Indiana Jones stuff.
Yeah.
The searching, and then there's one in Tibet, there's one in Iran. Now, of course, these are awkward places.
Absolutely.
Particularly for a guy to say to the Chinese authorities, I've got this little kit here that captures smell. Do you mind if I go to Tibet? Or Iran, if you're 100 miles from a nuclear site.
Yeah.
It's not a great excuse, is it? I can see myself being locked away in a foreign prison for years.
Yeah, well, be careful.
But the reason that they're not found is because they are in inaccessible places and difficult, awkward places. And this is what drives me. Something on the island of Madagascar, something on the lost world of Canaima in Venezuela. These are the things that drive me.
Wow, the true Indiana Jones of the perfumery.
Exactly.
The perfumery.
And again, Mark, to give you, yes, I'm struggling with a sense of time to make it really happen, but I do have consultancies, and they create creative work for me. You know, people are saying, can you put that into an aroma? This is what I want, this is my verbiage. It might be a bank saying, I want the smell of money. Wherever you walk into my bank, anywhere in the world, I want the smell of money or success, and success. What is that in aromatic terms? So those are the things I love getting from people.
Yeah.
A brief that helps me create a brief to give to a nose, to give to a perfumer. So if you like, I translate a client's words and save them a lot of money by doing so, because you cut out a lot of time. Most clients want things within 8 weeks.
Yeah, right.
And as I say, the creative perfumer, 2-3 years. I bridge that gap where I can let the perfumer hit the ground running with a brief. And those things, you know, they don't come in thick and fast, but they do come in and earn me, you know, a few quid to keep me going.
Absolutely. Well, let me know when you develop the scent of success, because I wouldn't mind a bit of that myself. But thank you very much, David. It was lovely to meet you.
Hope you've enjoyed it.
Thank you.